Ed here with the Digital Digest, and today I wanted to share a quick unboxing and first look at the Sabrent PlayStation 5 hard drive upgrade kit. Now, for those of you unaware, a little while back Sony announced they'd be putting out a software update to select users that apply for this update that they choose to permit them to utilize a secondary NVMe or SSD inside of their PS5, which means no more limitations surrounding the internal 1 terabyte, really less than 1 terabyte drive that comes with the PS5. And boy, do I wish Xbox had an option like this, but that's besides the point. So Sabrent was smart enough to introduce their own pairing of a custom heatsink designed for the PS5, as well as bundling that with their Rocket 4 Plus Gen 4 NVMe drives. So right now you can pre-order these. I will include a link in the description to Amazon. That is the way that Sabrent is directly selling them. And Sabrent was kind enough to send this over for review purposes. Essentially, they have a 1 terabyte capacity, a 2 terabyte capacity, like the one I'm about to share with all of you, and last but not least, a 4 terabyte capacity. And I believe the prices are a little under $200 for the 1 terabyte, a little under $400 for this kit that you see here, and a little over $900 for the 4 terabyte. And while you may think that those prices sound like a lot, if you know anything about NVMe pricing, you already know they're right in line with what Gen 4 drives cost. And frankly, Sabrent is the only one really making 4 terabyte, let alone 8 terabyte. The 8 terabyte hasn't come out yet, but let's go ahead and crack this open. And this is really exciting because I think that, Sony is ahead of the curve, kind of showing that they are aware of what the next generation of gaming consoles is going to be like, which is not, being limited by a single NVMe drive. And then furthermore, you've got Sabrent being savvy, keeping their eyes open and saying, well, where does our footprint overlap with, well, anyone else in the electronic realm, electronic manufacturing, consumer electronic manufacturing realm, that we can help consumers and obviously make a product that will, of course, make a profit at the same time. And this is the type of innovation that makes me appreciate a company like Sabrent, because who else is doing this, frankly? No differently than the innovating they've been doing now for quite some time over the last several years. So this custom heatsink will fit in perfectly to where the secondary slot is, and eventually I plan on making a video showing that. And look, you could try to go without a heatsink altogether. I don't recommend that. Sabrent doesn't recommend it. I don't think Sony will recommend it either, because they don't want you to end up, I was going to use my little blade there. They don't want you to end up melting your PS5 console. And that's why having a heatsink like this is ideal. And the reason that Sabrent made this as large as it is, because it is fairly large, if you didn't notice that already, in relation to the size of an NVMe drive. In fact, I have a Sabrent drive right here, which is essentially the same one. You can see that the drive is that large. But the reason Sabrent wants you to have this heatsink, and they've custom cut it, is because it is a perfect fit for the existing metal plate that it's going to replace where the secondary NVMe slot exists. Now, again, I think this is really smart. I think the branding on it is slick. Granted, no one's going to see it inside of the PS5, but the concept is really straightforward, which is that unlike Microsoft's Xbox, which I own and also use, you cannot expand storage there, but here you can internally. And this is something that when the consoles were first announced, I wondered why something like this would be left off the table, because it's really obvious that 1 terabyte, anyone who plays any sort of games in the PC realm already knows that this generation of console was a clear shot at the PC gaming world. I mean, both the PS5 and Xbox Series X are literally little PCs. They are not consoles really anymore. I mean, they are packaged as such. They do have UIs as such, front ends, but at the end of the day, they're just repackaged, computers. So all the hardware is the same. It's overlapping. Yes, custom GPUs from AMD for both, and they're almost identical in terms of hardware. But this was one area where everyone had to think to themselves, well, the only reason a manufacturer wouldn't let us just go inside and upgrade, like Sabrent is now doing for the PS5, is basically out of greed, unfortunately. And that's what we have with Microsoft. You know, as much as I love both manufacturers, Microsoft has decided to take the low road and say, if there's room for us to make money on an NVMe upgrade, we will. In fact, they still haven't really even made that a possibility. And to my knowledge, I don't even know that there is a secondary drive inside. I don't think there is. Had there been one, you know, there probably would be a discussion about this. And if there is, hopefully this wakes Microsoft up, because this is a really big advantage. In fact, one of the things that I won't say turns me off about the current generation of consoles, but it's a very limiting factor as a PC and console gamer, is knowing that I can't upgrade the NVMe drive in either console. But now, of course, with Sony stepping up to the plate with this software update and Sabrent already cranking out a heatsink so that you can be basically ready to go as soon as you get that software, the sky is pretty much the limit. And again, I wish that there was a equal footing here between both manufacturers, because I would absolutely stick a 2 or a 4 terabyte without any hesitation in both consoles. Because, you know, with 1 terabyte, you end up getting what I currently have maybe 4 or 5 AAA titles installed, and then some other small titles. And anytime I want to do anything new, it's time to uninstall content. And running anything externally off of either console is pretty much impossible. I mean, Sony allows you to run PS4 titles externally over USB. Microsoft, as you already know, you can't run titles off of an external source, but you can at least keep them there so that you don't have to re-download them. I mean, it is a very backwards end of the current generation of consoles. So I see this as very much forward-looking, even though as a PC gamer, this is simple. It is very much the next generation of console today. And Sony deserves credit. Sabrent deserves extra special credit for getting right there on time before most of us even have access to, I mean, we can physically install it, but not utilize it yet. But that will come with time. But again, with Microsoft, we're just hitting the wall. So I'm excited about this, and it does really represent the next-gen console that we're already hearing a lot of buzz, both between Sony and Microsoft, that'll launch sometime, not in 2022, but in 2023. And I guarantee you that we will be seeing a console that will have multiple slots. I mean, the PS5 has multiple. There's no question, at the very least, both are going to offer user upgradability as these consoles shift to being more and more like regular gaming PCs. So again, just really excited about this, and just really smart that Sabrent did this. I mean, they had the tools at their disposal, and you know, for any of you thinking, could you just get any NVMe drive with a heatsink and throw it in there? I don't recommend that, because it's not going to fit cleanly. And do not try to use this in conjunction with an NVMe drive that has an existing heatsink. Do not do that. This is the one heatsink you're going to want to use with that single NVMe drive. And I mean, I could open this up, but this is what you're going to end up seeing. The exact same 2 terabyte NVMe drive. I mean, I can go ahead and do that because after all, this is a drive I use for PC. This is a drive I will specifically be using for the PS5. And you know, this is one of those things, again, where you don't see really any other manufacturers in this business that are trying to take risks, trying to change the game, and being really progressive about what they make. So that's yet another reason that I have a lot of respect for Sabrent. You know, they continue to push the boundaries, and then other manufacturers follow in their footsteps. And trailblazing is generally not done by, you know, the smaller players. And Sabrent has transitioned to being one of the big boys. I mean, my very first experiences with Sabrent were before I had any connection with them here on the channel, with their PR department. And it was because as many of you know, my subscribers, I seek out products that I find, I should say, unique. And lo and behold, I started covering their products on my own because they were making value-oriented drives that performed well, as well, if not better, than much of the competition at more affordable prices. And then doing more unique stuff with external enclosures. And now they continue to do much of the same. Great packaging. You're also not going to find this from other manufacturers. And what can I say? They are one of my favorite companies out there. And I'm just happy to work with them because they really care about what they're doing. And like most of you at home that are, geeking out on your PC setup or your PS5, they are too. Because you don't get this involved in what you're doing unless you care and are passionate about what you manufacture. And I can't tell you how many companies I see make products that just aren't interested and are just trying to churn out those profits. And then along comes Sabrent and gives us something that literally every PS5 owner on the planet is going to want to pick up. Because, again, the current generation of consoles is great, but the biggest flaw is storage. And now that flaw, at least for PS5 owners, is remedied. And they even include the little screwdriver for removing that NVMe screw that I'll have to do once I get this going. So, any questions or comments, please feel free to post them. Oh, I didn't mention one of the most important things. The ship date, which you'll see in that link, depending on which capacity you want to pick up, I believe is towards the end of October. So roughly a month from today. Today is the 24th. You're looking at, I think, the 23rd. So it's right around the corner. And I think the timing is right because by then, more and more users are going to have the software update to actually move forward with making this a functional upgrade for their PS5. But that rounds things out. Welcome to the future of console gaming here in 2021. What you're going to see for many years to come, and by the way, it does include a thermal pad for those of you that are wondering, which is a good thing. This is where things are headed, and I'm glad Sabrent did this because it reminds everyone of what is yet to come and what you can get your hands on that's next gen in the current gen. So again, kudos to Sony, kudos to Sabrent. I'm just glad that we've got things like this here before the next generation of console, and they will change your quality of life when it comes to console gaming, just like they do in PC gaming. It is such a difference maker when you can throw a 2, a 4, or even an 8 terabyte drive into your gaming PC. It changes everything. Any questions or comments, please feel free to post them. Hit that like button. And as usual, please feel free to subscribe. And please stay safe. Later.